Hello, Jinki's family from the Nepal, from Kathmandu, where this oppression or transformation was happening recently. And today we're going to discover the 47th Jinki that is very relevant, as always. And this key is about transmutating the karma, the collective karma, and your individual, but during this transmission, we will discover what is it individual karma and if even it exists or not. So the 47th Jinki, this the shadow of oppression, the gift of transmutation, and the Siddhi of transfiguration. So this key, it connects us to the process of transmutation, the karma, and how we in fact deal with fear. Do we react? Do we suppress? Do we fight? Or do we accept? And through acceptance, we can transmute it. And this key has a program partner, 22nd Jinki of grace. And on a shadow level, it's dishonoring the emotions and also dishonoring the karma. So today we're going to discover how it works. Also, this key in the cordon ring of alchemy, and we will see that this key has a particular meaning into the alchemizing process, the alchemy process in our system, and coming to realize the self, the divine self, as well as on the Siddhi level of transfiguration. This key gives us possibility to transfigurate the physical form into the rainbow body. But this we will discover later, as well as to have only this key is not enough for this transfiguration process, and it's not even the goal, the final purpose, but it is a, let's say, a possibility, but we will come later into this when we go into the Siddhi. So let's start with the shadow of oppression. And as every shadow has two sides, when we deny it and suppress, and when we react. But let's first really discover what the oppression is. And what is the 47 key and I Ching? Because in I Ching, this key, this energy is what brings us oppression of the self and the karma. This key particularly connected with what it called the junked DNA. So this part of our DNA that scientists can't really figure out what it is for and what's the purpose. So they just decided that it's junk DNA that kind of contains all the memory of all the existence of all the universe. And this is what the 47 Jinki connects with. So we can see that it brings to us the karma or all these memories from all the existence, not only your personal story, but let's say the story of universe that this 47 key, that the junk DNA contains. And it brings it on the surface so we can transmute it and for transmute it for this purpose of transmutation, we need to have the courage to face the fear directly without giving it to somebody, or without hope that there is going to be therapies or somebody else who will kind of solve our problem. Because most of the people, most of the time in life, just run away from the shadow, because to stay with it is very uncomfortable. It's like to stay with the most discomfortable feelings and energies, because all that universal memories, they are absolutely not linear, they're chaotic. So there is no way for our linear mind, for our logic perception, to ever understand this. I'm having my white tea today, but soon we will move to pu'er. So, as I said, that there is no way here to logically ever understand this, because it doesn't work logically. It's the all chaos of existence. Any memory, any experience that ever was experienced by the cosmic self, let's say like this, is recorded here, or what we can say the Akashic records. And what does it mean? It means that we connected with it. Also, this key, it brings a question of karma to the surface, saying that does the karma even exist? The individual karma. Because we used to believe that there is individual karma, that we have our own like tendencies, samskaras, and we are purifying our karma as we go through life, and we try not to create more karma. And this key basically is saying that this all karma is just one, is collective. It's all this like kind of collective memory. And when we incarnate, we kind of take something like we just resonate with a certain amount of it. That's on a frequency level, we more connected. But it doesn't mean that it's your individual karma. The same way as I can explain, for example, from regressions. Yeah, if you ever experienced past life activations or regressions. Because when we can go into our past lives to experience something, to release some stored emotions, also like to deactivate some beliefs, contracts, and scars, we go into some stories, like what our subconsciousness showing us. Does it mean that it really what was really happening? Like, for example, I had once experience when I remembered myself being like a Maria Magdalena and feeling all the pain of like kind of losing the love, the cries, then all the tears and pain and anger and everything that for a couple hours my system was releasing. I was very intense. Does it mean that I really was this? Or that at that time I tapped to that frequency, to that memory in collective DNA, that I was in resonance and that I was needed to process and release, so that it could open and activate more light. So in fact, the purpose of transmuting the shadows and going into our fear and transmuting it is releasing more light from our DNA. And if we're not able to release this light, then we just stay oppressed, because if we never looked into our shadows, then our energy just stay oppressed basically, and we're not able to come into our light nature, to come into our system, to really, we're not able to really touch the light of who we are. The light stayed oppressed because the light in our true self is just behind that fear that we react on, and we're afraid to look within, because in a way it will be a death of all their existence of individual self, of what we believe we are. This will bring these questions to the surface until we will realize that there is just like a waves of frequencies and memories that kind of keep coming and going, and there is no even purpose in this. It is just a story of life that keep going, and we are just part of it, like a part of the ocean of life. And what we can do is just to be with it and to stay in our center and face any fears and shadows when they arise, so that we can transmute it. But as I said, this process is very uncomfortable because it's not working linear. It goes directly into our right brain, into our subconsciousness, and it works with archetypes. We can say this like archetypes of tarot, or what shamanic shamans do when they go into this world of let's say, astral world. And then whatever we can see there, the forces that we can call demons or different dark forces, basically just a form of fear that represents itself through different way, also how our subconsciousness read it and connect with it. But in the core, it's just a frequency of fear. So basically, this week is a week to transmute all the frequencies of fear. And I feel like, as I have this key in my personal chart, that's I'm just in the kind of probably the best possibility for this right now is in the Nepal, where there's a lot of protests was happening just yesterday, and a lot of like fire things going on here that now they come down, but yesterday was really a time to stay grounded in a spirit and observe how fear works and how system naturally goes into adrenaline and action, and there's like these times where our spiritual, or whatever we can call our spiritual practice, is tested when we face any type of fear, but especially the fear of death. Eventually, working with this key will bring us further beyond the fear of death, so we can transmute the fear of death itself and come to realization that there is nobody to die, because it's just the one self, the divine self that existed, that's even now was incarnated. But that's we can discover further on while this journey. So let's also see what the shadow level here. The one that's going to be oppressed. So it's people who they kind of give up on life. They just stayed in this oppression. They don't even know they have fear. They never looked into their shadows. They never tried to transcend something. They just stay kind of a silent in this, let's say, passive aggression, and they just give up on themselves, on their dreams, on anything, and they just simply just don't want to do anything about it. They just stay in this oppression, and that's what they choose. How they choose to live, being in this energy and being so deep in fear. When we really go deep into fear, we start to feel like apathy towards life, like nothing really interesting to us, nothing inspires us. There's no even more fire in our life. There is no more movement. There is no more this fire of spirit. So it's kind of fully blocked yourself and stay in this oppression. The second part is dogmatic. These people who, as a reaction on this fear, they choose to believe in some form of ideas, like scientific systems, religions, whatever, some dogmas that they created for themselves because they feel that it is safe, that belief in dogmas is what gives them safety. And then they will try to put it into everybody because that's what they believe in, that the dogmas is safe, and that being in a dogmatic mind is what they think gives them safety. They kind of stayed in a prison of their mind and their beliefs because this was a familiar, and whoever even doesn't agree, whoever don't agree with their dogmas, they will try to fight with this person because they can't kind of perceive that the reality is just one vast ocean of consciousness, and kind of everything is true and not true at the same time. And for these people, they need to make sure that what they believe in true and that everybody support it. Otherwise, they feel very uncomfortable outside of their dogmas. And of course, life will always gonna test it, bringing people with different ideas and beliefs, so to test how much we can go beyond it. go to this transmutation as to really, I would say, this 47 shadow, it's kind of activates this deep primal fear, like the fear itself. To work with these shadows, kind of go into a hell when you know that there's not going to be no help, just your light, just how much you can trust the light and surrender to it. This key, it requires a lot of surrender, because normally we just react in our shadows and we explode it into the others, and always again we stay suppressed, and then basically it affects our health, our organs, our nervous system, and later on it shows up on the surface and manifested itself as diseases. So this is two ways of polarities, but there is another way that we're going to discover when we go into the gift. But right now I want to ask the one person who stays now here a little bit outside of the camera, but participating in this process. Do you want to share something about this key? No, he's
I would just say one thing. Just pull on the back. Okay. Yes. Hi everyone. It's Anthony. Yes. Thanks for hosting today this Gene Keys, because obviously we are in the middle of transmuting a lot of darkness here in Nepal, and especially in Kathmandu. As the military there's no existing government right now. We just have a military that is in control, because all the government buildings, everybody of the government is beaten up and burned down. So yeah, eclipse. But we can see that we're in this key, of oppression, and yeah, the oppression is kind of, in a way, yes, it's a shadow, and it's something that has to be transmuted. But I think it's ironic that nowadays people talk about oppression all the time. I mean, we hear oppression spoken of practically almost always with citizens, with people, about political issues. So it's ironic that it's a shadow, and it's something that is in a way foreign to your true nature, to yourself, aligned with God or aligned with your spirit, your heart. So yeah, like here in Kathmandu, it's been very volatile, and like to see the young people, and primarily it was young people who were out on the streets last night and throughout yesterday and Monday as well. I think young people are kind of they are the real kind of key signature that there's something that is connected with oppression, because the adolescents, they are the ones who are technically oppressed and have kind of a responsibility to evolve out of their oppression, right? Out of their kind of codependence with their family, their parents. And so, yeah, we really got to see the essence of this oppression yesterday. It was like, really people that looked like teenagers, late teenagers, and then maybe also people in their 20s that were really just absolutely had enough of the joke of a government that they have. There's people laughing, people setting fire. It wasn't like I would say the riots weren't like they weren't really like a kind of aggressive kind of, they were almost like a kind of comical violence and riot. The people were like, found it even comical. It's like, that's how much of a joke they felt it was. I mean, we didn't find it was a joke though, because for us visiting this place, yeah, it was, yeah. But in a way, yeah, the people need to find a way to free themselves of the oppression, right? So whether I don't know what the gene keys would say about this, but whether through fire, sometimes have to release things. So that's what happened.
Well, thanks for sharing. To continue this, that from Jinky perspective, I would say that this expression is also reaction to shadow, because what the Jinky would say, that the fear and the oppression isn't outside, it's within, and we just project it outside. As always, we project our fears, our shadows, our discomfort. The problem is that we can't sit with our discomfort and just be with it. This is the major issue here, that what this Jinky is pointing us towards. Just be with your discomfort. Just be with this fear. Just see, reminds me of like ayahuasca process. If whoever ever took it, that you just in the process, and there's nobody who can help you. Yeah, there is sometimes shaman can help and do like some clearing on you or help to release something, but mostly it's just you with the medicine and with your spirit. Nobody will help you, nobody will save you, and it will not end until the purification will end itself, until 5-6 hours, whatever this process is going to last. You can't stop it. Even if you want, it just will not stop, because the medicine has time how it works. So you can just really just sit with all it. And then why I personally, it's my kind of maybe personal belief, but I feel like everybody who pretends or who claims to be spiritual should try ayahuasca at least once, because there you really see who you are, how you can stay calm with your mind, how you can be just in presence and not reaction into everything, because a lot of things can appear in front of you as also a lot of sensations, and your fears, all that's in your system will manifest itself as demons, or the memories from your past life subconsciousness will appear in front of you and in you, and they'll be very alive, as semi-alive as whatever, like, for example, right now, in the physical reality in front of me. And you can't escape it, can't go anywhere. You can't just, this meditation, I'm feeling I need to finish. You can't stand up and just finish it. So you just have to be with it. You just have to find the center. This is what this Jinky, it's pointing us towards our center. It's pointing us towards the center of our being, and showing that sooner or later we all have to go within. We all have to stop project. We all have to stop avoid, and that there are going to be no changes on the planet, on humanity, until we all will just be able to be without discomfort, sit with it, and let the kind of this purification to happen itself, because it will happen if we will allow it, and if we would sit with all the discomfort, feel it, breathe in it, and not react, not suppress, but also not react. Because otherwise it's the same tendencies, when first we suppress something, and then at some point just explode, and then suppress again, and then it's like forever cycle, never ending. So let's see what can happen when we approach the gift of transmutation. And what is the transmutation is. So 1 second, I'm gonna have a cup of tea.
Where's
So the transmutation. what Richard Rudd is saying is that transmutation is kind of the final result of the series of mutations that happening. So there is a mutation that comes and go, and they shift something in our system, in our DNA. It's basically, if we look into the mutation process in our DNA and how when it's RNA that transmutes like the DNA, then RNA reads the information and creates the biological form, basically the amino acids. There is sometimes like mistakes happening there in this transcripting this information, and these mistakes, that's what the mutations are. They call them mutational genes. And on a gift level, when we have a series of mutations that have been happening, then at the end it's happening the transmutation. That is there is like final result of series of mutations. And when transmutation happened, that means that something shifted in our DNA and it won't go back. Like this new result kind of the process is now is grounded and integrated. Like there's no go back to previous form, let's say like this. It's like the new form that is fully made and established. So 1 second. And so that what else we could see here is that the transmutation starts when we really are ready to face our fears, to face our system, to face who we are, to face all the pain and darkness. Because normally we are in the loop of shadow reactions. And like, let's say what happens when we act from the shadow. We hear somebody, but we don't hear what this person is saying. We can't perceive this person as who he is. We hear only kind of what we want to hear, what our subconsciousness is able to receive, because it resonates with us and also with our shadow and what we are present in ourselves. And we just choose to see something that we kind of can see, and then what we oppressed in ourselves, but we project it into another person or seeing this in another person and react on this and trying to change it. And we can say it's in the person, it's then in the global, in the collective, in society, government, whatever. Still the same projections basically happening. The mechanism of projection is the same. So this shadow requires us to stop project and really just look within, and to start this transfiguration process where we can transmute the darkness, transmute the pain, transmute the suffering. This key will play itself out through suffering. And it says like, every discomfort that you have, every suffering for you is a key point for your liberation. Instead of running from it, you should run towards it. You should look with it and stay with it. And the more we allow these things and let them happen, the more we activate the energy in us that's making this transmutation happen. The thing is like our mind wants solution, is one a linear way, but it's not a linear way. It's like you just are ready to stay with the chaos of all existence and with all the discomfort, trusting that there is a power in you, that there is something in you that can make this transmutation happen. Because at some point, your DNA starts to kind of spread different hormones that were not possible to achieve before, but then they activated because the light in your system kind of hits certain areas where it starts transmutation and activates certain hormones that then making this whole transmutation happen and even leading you further to transfiguration. 1 second. If you want a tea, you better drink it before it cold. Otherwise, that just get cold.
Yeah, this one gets cold quick. Maybe I change cup.
So it can be very discomfortable till the point when we surrender and when we also surrender to grace, because the 22nd gene key, the program partner on this key, is the key of grace. And we can see what's here on the shadow level. It's dishonoring. So we dishonor ourselves and our emotions by projecting them from inside to outside, because we believe that the problem exists outside. When, if we look again into 47 key, that it's just the Akashic memory. It's just the universal kind of stories and archetypes that plays out, and in fact, it has nothing to do with you. But you have a choice either to kind of believe in it, in this all these stories, and hold on it, grip on it, and or just observe how they comes and goes as the archetypes just move through you. So basically, the whole point of spiritual process is being able to see how energies is just moving through you without attaching yourself to all of it. That's why we need to really build the awareness in our system, in the presence, because if we can't observe ourselves and our mind is just in reactivity of always kind of grabbing into everything, attaching to all experience, all sensations, all stories, then we're just lost. We don't even know who we are, because we believe that we are all the stories and memories and archetypes. That means we're fully disconnected from our presence. You know, before I came to Nepal, by the grace, I was in Russia, I was in workshop of my kind of first spiritual teacher. It was the Dakini workshop, where we, through movements, through kriyas and through dance, we were connecting to the absolute space, and we've been kind of bringing this cause into our system and going beyond all the stories, all the ideas, all the memories, and seeing different archetypes come to a surface, play out and go, as always, just waves of consciousness. Everything comes and goes, and bringing our awareness back and back into our center. The whole point of this practice of transmutation is being able to bring your consciousness, your awareness back into your center. Because if you're not in your center, that means that you're not in your truth. That means you're not truly who you are, that you even don't know who you are, and that when we reach our center, we are stabilizing it. And what's happening that slowly it starts to become more and more gaps between the thoughts. We more and more rest in the presence and stillness of our mind. We become observer of all sensations and emotions, everything that comes and goes. We're less attached to all the drama of life. We see these stories and archetypes, but we not run from it, and we don't attach ourselves to it. We just see how things comes and goes. And the more we see, the more we can just kind of allow things to be without making it very serious or dramatic, and we just see how things are moving. And it's not even that we're coming into the center, but mostly to say that the center starts to shine in itself. It's kind of, we're just able to calm down our mind when the true self, the true nature of who we are, can appear and shine. But for the purpose for it to shine, we need to see all these fears and darkness and archetypes, basically. And whatever technique we will use is just up to us. It's what, again, more resonate with kind of the story of this vessel. But knowing that anything is archetypes, and the more we can rest in a stillness, knowing that it's all just stories, the more we can reach our true self. Because when we identify ourselves with something, that's the point where we're lost. And then the life is over trigger it and will bring it to your surface so you can see how much, in fact, you lose yourself because you believed in all the stories, but you forget completely who you are. And you want to say something? It's kind of, this key requires us to surrender to whatever comes. Surrender to that archetypes that resonates with us, and let all be released. Surrender to the mystery of life. Surrender to the process of transfiguration. Surrender to the truth of our being. Surrender to the moment of stillness. Surrender to the true self, knowing that it will appear, or we will be able to see it when we purified enough darkness. And every time we purify the fear, it would release the light in our system. And eventually the light is what I said, it hits certain kind of hormone points in our system that start to release certain hormones from our DNA that activates the higher consciousness in us. So there's also the alchemic process happening within our system. That's why this Gene Key is coding of alchemy. And it's said the alchemy happening within you. It's not that it's like just transmuting kind of hard metals into gold, like transmuting the this, like the black elixir into the gold. No, it's about how we transmuting our black elixir, our darkness into the gold within ourselves. And there are even several practices. This practice kind of hidden, as I know, in, for example, Buddhist tradition, where you work on creating and cultivating your crystal, your light body. But of course, this practice isn't given to everybody. You kind of working and you cultivating your immortal body, let's say. And in a way, that's I felt much resonance with Buddhism, of course, because of a lot of connections from past life, but just because for me it's clear that it's all just stories playing out itself. And sometimes I get more belief into stories, sometimes less, sometimes just more in the presence and observation of everything, knowing that it all comes and goes. And basically, the more we can be observers of ourselves, the easier kind of we can live, because yeah, we don't need then to attach ourselves to everything or become a reason for everything. We can just see things happening, and the only the only kind of gate out or way out from oppression is through within. Is to stop oppress our true nature. That means, as I said, to face the darkness and the shadows. And do you want to say anything?
Keep going, I will say maybe after.
I feel I finished with the gift. I want to more come to the city. So maybe if you have any questions or if you want to say something before I come to city.
We're already at city. What?
We're not at city, but we're gonna go there. So.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of gene key is a bit like the kind of explaining the process of the gene keys, because the gene keys is a
Transfiguration.
It's a transmutation.
Do you want to be on the video? Okay, maybe.
Yes. Yeah, so the gene keys is this process, right? That's being explained here in the 47th gene key. And I mean, I was originally speaking about the shadows of the people here in Kathmandu, but it's become quickly apparent that it's more connected with one's internal dilemma more so than an external one, for example, like corruption in the government. Maybe the corruption in the government is reflecting the inner dilemmas of these. Yeah, there's some things maybe to be spoken about the collective here. I know that this key is connected with the collective unconscious. Maybe you can speak a bit about the collective unconscious and the role that it plays. Because nowadays everyone's talking about, you know, we are the collective, one and everything. So there's some recognition that there's, in a way, one underlying reality that's playing out. You know, Jung, I read a bit of the collective archetypes of Jung. And wow, it's really complicated text when I first was reading it, because he's just so, the terminology is like speaking about mythical beings. And if you don't understand, if you've never read Greek mythology or any kind of mythology, it will probably just be really intense to understand. Yeah, I remember I was as well studying Nietzsche, and Nietzsche was a lot of the time speaking about these myths that basically govern all of human behavior, and we're kind of in this repeated cycle again and again. We kind of, Nietzsche was hardcore about it, saying, you know, you have to break free and stand up for yourself. No one's going to stand up for you. That was Nietzsche. So, you know, in a way, yes, this is what you can see out on the streets. The people are standing up for themselves. But yeah, I'm just interested what you would say about the collective transmutational process as opposed to the individual. Yeah, you do.
Well, the collective transmutation process is it's kind of not separated from individual. What we can say is that, let's say, for example, there is my soul who incarnated in certain circumstances, in certain country, or like in particular country, for example, I was born in Kazakhstan, yes, but then I moved to Russia when I was 2 years old. Means even the country we incarnated, we connect with cultural code there. It means if we could say the kind of personal karma, if we know that already here we discovered it exists, but let's say the story that I more resonate with, the samskaras, the stories in my subconsciousness, are more connected to the stories that this cultural code and collective of this specific country holds. As well as I might be, for example, in past life, I was the one who was a not predator, how do you say the one? The conqueror?
Predators?
No predators, predators in animal
Prey.
world. No, the one who conquer.
Conquer?
Say, for
Conqueror.
example, in past life I was a conqueror of one country, then in next life I will incarnate in this country to kind of release the karma. So we can say always happening is kind of releasing the karma. And if we will look deeper, if it is any end to this, no. Why? Because there is just different story that's keep playing out, and as what we can see, they're repeating. It was you who told me today that, for example, in Nepal, these revolutions come every 10 years.
Yes.
We can see that what's happening on the earth right now is also what's happening in Atlantis times. And there have been several civilizations already destroyed. It means that the story kind of keep repeating. And yes, we can have our own feelings. Oh, this time it's going to be different. We're going to change it. We're going to come and do the synergy and kind of reorganize the humanity. If this what their universal consciousness want, it's going to happen. If not, then not. You know, if I will look, for example, now with the human design saying that we are right now, all the human beings, we are just developing the ajna of the cosmic baby, what they said. It means like all the experience that we're going through, it's creating the kind of this bank of experiences, like this bank of information that holds all the different experiences all together of one big like cosmic consciousness. And in a way, it's something similar to this, that it's kind of what they say, nothing personal, because it's really nothing personal. And collective transmutations means that there is just some big collective archetypes are releasing in the cultural code of certain countries. And of course, then the people who was born in these countries, as well as we can, for example, with my students, sometimes the practice where I help them to, for example, came back to the center and release some contracts with their country, for example, or with their like cultural code when they become suppressed by these codes or these like beliefs. And let's say, for example, I have, and we will not go out into the stories, but say they work with different people from different countries all over the world, then there are different stories that people hold in, and sometimes these stories are speaking louder than the voice of the higher self. And sometimes we need to release some stories, or not the stories, but our attachment to the stories. The same as sometimes we're attached to ancestral stories, that this key is also kind of a lot connected with removing the ancestral karmic patterns. Because sometimes we're a lot connected with ancestral patterns and we live in something that they want, not even knowing that it's not our true desire, it's not our soul calling, it's something that's rooted in our, how my doctor would say, cell memory. And we believe that this cell memory is you, but it can even be so far away from what your soul here came destined to experience. And as well as I would say, for example, from this, the workshop that I've been in, some transmissions that the teacher was given, that, you know, there are different systems and stories here on the earth. And like as well as your ancestors, that's also just your karmic connections, basically. The only kind of space that really gives you freedom and where we can see safety and support is divine spaces. You need to come back to your center and connect with the truth of divine, because everything else is karma. It's kind of, if you're not in the source in each and every moment, you live in karma. And the thing is, the karma can be transformed only in the present moment. If some stories appeared and rising up in you, and you feel it as sensations, emotions, certain mind structures that's coming out, the only way to transmute it is come back to presence, breathe, and that only your presence will move this energy and transmute it. Yeah, of course, there are some techniques. For example, I know techniques from kinesiology, was working with dots to transmute emotions, and I even use it also with my clients, but it's all just coming back to presence. And now with presence, move these layers and layers of stored memories and emotions, so then we can transmute them and be free now at the inner level. So but this key kind of requires us to jump into the rabbit hole. That means we go into the depths of part, you know, it's like we jump, it's kind of in the black void where things, they untangled, they all mixed up, and you can't understand this. You can't understand these archetypes because they're not in linear way. Reminds me of one experience where when I was working with the quantum teacher at the time, and I also had some psychedelic experience, and and my consciousness, my system started to go into that rabbit hole, and then all these things get released. That first 2 hours, I was just crying. I couldn't understand at all what was going on and why I had such pain all the time. And I've tried to hide from it. I remember my ex-partner at the time was kind of supporting me, kind of. He was just near me and looking up at me. I tried to hide under the blanket. I've tried to kind of not to see everything, but it was not possible to hide anywhere. And kind of all the patterns, all the story archetypes of universe from it's not even like linear time that you can see, it's past to future, it's all together, all in one, just kind of waving, flowing, appearing, and the mind just feels so confusing, it's so scary, and it's so painful. And at some point I realized that, and asking for help, and he said, only you can do is to sit and face it. So after hours of fighting, I just had to sit and face it. And when I started to face it, my system, my awareness started to look within, to the point where I would say I reached the center, and then the light just opened up. And that's when this kind of transmutation or transfiguration happened, because you can't understand things that's not possible to be understood, because your mind, you will feel pain when you go into this ocean of existence, because it's just everything happening at once, all the varieties of everything and anything that's possible and what you can't even imagine. So only you can be observer, only you can reach a center where then there's just a pure light and nothing else left, not really nothing else. You just become in this light that's kind of also holding, absorbing all these archetypes and everything. And it's not that it's like removing it, it's just this stillness of love and light that's kind of just a space of consciousness, and then nothing else there left. And that's what we can call freedom. So this is what I would say the journey of this jinki, if I can kind of put it in the words. Does it help? What a shirt.
I guess, yes.
kind of nowhere to run, nowhere to go, just within. And the moment when it will hit you, it will be scary. It will be, you will feel you want to run and there is nowhere to run. You will feel you want to hide, there is nowhere to hide. All you can do is just stay with it and look, kind of look into it. It's like there's all things appear and you just look into it. And the more you look, the more it's just one thing dissolve and another. And then you see that there's just, at the same time, you look into things and sometimes it's like you're looking within yourself. It's like hitting the core of who you are. And then it's like boom. And then the space outside became the space within. And then there is no even difference. And then there is just a space, there is just a light. There's just a consciousness of who you are. And you're realizing that's, it's not even you realizing, it's just then this realization that's, it's in fact, it's whatever even being. There's nothing else was ever happening. So that's what's happening when we move into transfiguration. You want to say something, Kellyanne? Yes, please.
Yes, super interesting, Key. I think in a way, yeah, like especially I would say when you're like in a relationship with somebody, it's like, for example, an immediate example of polarity and of this like firstly like process of mirror, and one person helps the other to see themselves. You know, Katya and I always speak about like masculine and feminine, and yeah, wow, so much like revelation coming through this process of transmutation. Since I met Katya, we've been as my partner is a psychologist, and well, I'm also a mystic, so I like to explore all these dimensions and these, you can say, fears, right? Because it all comes down to fears. What I've learned as well, especially on the healing journey, is that, or the journey of remembering wholeness, is that, yeah, kind of the individuals that pretend that, you know, everything is perfect, fine. Well, unless you're a guru or God, then that's probably a mask. So, and I think it's the reason why all the humans, any case, are having conflicts is because we each have a different way of processing and handling it, and because it's so vast and complex, we've kind of, there's no really simple way. But that's why you just got to trust as well. This is the feminine, right? It's just to trust the process, what's happening. You know, the varieties of different situations. You know, like for example, yeah, like what we're doing here in Nepal. You know, we knew straight away when we came here that we had a big connection. Myself with Katya, like our connection, what it means, and then also what this place means for us karmically as well as individuals. I think
Well,
Katya,
I didn't know that it means that much.
well, I think Katya has already started to purify a lot of her karmas in Nepal, probably maybe more than me in a way, because she started already doing a lot of Tibetan practices. So her karma, in a way, she's already been opened into this process, and with the karmas here. But with me, it adds a whole nother flavor and dimension, because what she didn't account for was, well, her partner as well, who also has huge karma of spiritual path. People think spiritual path is without karma. It's the opposite. We have huge karmas because we have to, in a way, remember and integrate all the shadow of not knowing the spirit, not knowing your teachers, your masters, your ancient, your like, yeah, your powerful spiritual practices. And so the karma is always normally more intense for people who are more closely connected with spiritual lineages and paths. And the good news is that it happens a lot quicker than if
it's just kind of
it's a speed up.
Escalates things.
Yeah, the like if we what's really beautiful about psychology is like when we look at psychology, it's literally the kind of, yeah, like what Richard Rudd said, the light language of spirit, because we're able to discuss, feel, experience these archetypes, the 64 archetypes, or how many, I think Carl Jung had 12 archetypes? 12 archetypes, I don't remember. But, you know, like for example here, look, I have basil, okay? So if I smell the basil, it's a certain form of a memory already in my DNA. I can ascribe it to something because we have, as Richard Rudd said, 98% of our DNA is like kind of junk, what he calls the junk DNA, which is like the animal and all the past lives of being in different species. It's recorded. So this also is there. Because how otherwise would this exist with me? I recognize it. So it's already there. And it gives me a certain memory for me to tap into. But once I go deeper on spiritual path, then literally I'm blasted. I'm shown, for example, like Mahavidya's, you know, supreme versions of my memory and everything. And this can be really intense. So this is why on earth, why on earth we come here is because, yeah, we wanted to experience, we wanted to experience the fullness of our being, fullness of ourselves. And of course you can do this from the comfort of your, you know, suburban Western home, you know, classical, you know, Western bourgeoisie home. But unfortunately, I would say, is because those groups of people have tried so hard to be filled the full sense of safety and security, they've actually created the illusion itself and the separation of self. So this is a really like crazy thing. It's and for those people it will seem like a paradox because they will look on the news and they will be like, you know, that's why I'm never gonna go to Nepal because this place is unsafe. You know why I believe ultimately the riots and wars happen, for example, here in Nepal, places like Gaza, is because those are the places where the truth is most easy to see. And that's why, for example, we have like loads of japa prayers. Of course, they're going to trigger a revolution because they're purifying the karma of the people here and purifying whatever demons are in the government. Actually, in fact, the demons are everywhere because it's just the shadow. So everywhere that there's untruth, anywhere in the world, there's demon. So that's all it is. And same with Gaza, you know, we know it's the Holy Land, very mystical place. Ancient civilizations have been there. So yeah, I'll pass it on, but that's my sharing from the mystic.
I feel that hold right. While Anthony was sharing, I felt several things that came to me to share. One was about relationship, as I would share later. One was just about that. In fact, I say there is no even truth and not truth. In a way, it's all truth and all not truth. What do I mean that? When I say it's all truth, it means that it's all just divine consciousness, all of it. Darkness and light, demons, enlightened beings. And it's all not truth because it's all just kind of illusions. It means that different beings, different, even as humans beings, different experiences, is just different frequencies, different forms of manifestation of the same source, same divine frequency. That means in a deeper sense, it's all the same. And that what also leads us to, for example, I've been smell this basil and saying, yeah, this is like in me already, this memory. It's like there's all inside of us. When you going into what I say, the quantum field of consciousness, that I sometimes guide people onto my Creator Course program, not always, because it happens only when somebody is ready to receive it. But it's like going into, it's like if you ever watch the Lucy movie, it's like going there when she was remembering like the milk of your mom, when she was a baby, newborn baby, and she was like sucking her mom milk from her teats. And then her consciousness was going even awareness further on to remember like the primal time of human beings' existence, and then the creation of the earth, the Big Bang and everything. Because can you imagine like this all memory of what happened and what will happen is already in your blood, in your DNA. All possible experiences, all ever possible timelines, everything that ever happened and ever will happen is in your DNA right here and right now. So when you're really going to reach the source of who you are, you go through all of this. That means that if you will try to grab on one of the story and try to identify yourself with it or attach, you say, oh, I'm shaman, oh, I'm like tantric, oh, I'm Buddhist, oh, I'm monk, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that, oh, I'm human, oh, I'm woman, oh, I'm man, oh, this and this, like this, so many layers of everything that you kind of just passing by. You have to be able to like a comet, like go through all this when you really reach the source. Because why it's kind of even dangerous for people to fully go there, because if the mind is not stable, and if you go to this, you can kind of go psycho or whatever, psychopathic. So that's why I'm said I'm giving practices only when somebody's ready. I'm not giving it just to everybody. I can give like maybe this little bit, but not the whole amount, because I don't want to destroy somebody's mind to make people unstable, you know. That's why also, for example, in our retreat, if we even gonna make it, we're gonna have a yoga that's stabilizing the body. No yoga?
Not stabilizing, destabilizing.
No, we have yoga that's stabilizing.
Well, it's hard to say.
Because we need to stabilize in our body and have a meditation of awareness and really being able to just fucking be in the presence. Because when you really reach, imagine like you go inside your DNA and then like as a black hole, everything is open in front of you and it's open all at once. And you see it. It's terrifying. And I'm saying from this kind of personal experience, it's terrifying. If you don't have stability and groundness of your mind and in the center, you can just you either will want to run straight away or could lose your mind, or will just you just try to escape. But when you go through, then you reach the source. And in fact, people who have 47 genes in the DNA, as what Richard Roth says, they're here with a specific mission. They're kind of here to purify the collective karma through their system, through their DNA. And there's also, in fact, when I work with people, I always say purifying their karma. And do I want this from my personal level? Not at all. But that's just part of what's happening, and it's happening beyond me. When this GQ was activated in my system, the transmutation, transfiguration, it's been maybe a year when I was constantly under the fire, when I felt I was constantly burning, because this energy activates the fire. Transmutation and transfiguration is burning of all karmas and scars in your system, in your DNA. And sometimes I remember I was just laying down on my bed, and I felt like how so much light was going into my system, and it was triggering every point where there was block, there was like fear, and hitting and triggering, and it was painful all the time. So I could just lay down and breathe and breathe and breathe and just be stable and calm and let this all move, trust in the process that the light eventually will remove all it. And yeah, it happened, but it took kind of a year of constantly burning. It's like not sometimes, every day burning, just burning, 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 burning all the time. So that's kind of a price sometimes that we pay for realizing our true self, because you're working with divine fire, and it's not a nice thing. It's not like, oh, I'm just like, please. No, when you really like what my teacher said when we're darkening workshops, oh, we want to like go to enlightenment. When we have this kind of going into the ocean of existence, it's really an ocean of everything. And at the same time, this all of what you are, but you also have to reach the center. And or let the center appears inside of you. The more you stabilize in your center, the less you get kind of triggered by different waves that's happening on the surface of the ocean when you're really in the depths of it and you're rooted there. The same we can say was happening when we go through Bardo, through transitioning, but this is another conversation. So yeah, this key is really deep in it. It will bring us to light through death, I would say like this, to life, to light, yes. This is kind of what the transfiguration is. It's reaching this middle point. And also when you've been saying something about relationship, I felt also to share that in a way how it feels for me that right now that there is no even such a thing as relationship. In a way they happening at the same time not, because what the relationship is and what's the point of, what's the kind of a purpose of your partner is to show you everything where you're not free yet. So any my reaction is a calling of my awareness within to find out where else I have this tension and I'm not free. So that means that your partner is really just a mirror of everything. And in a way, like, of course, in a human level, there is a relationship, there is like masculine, feminine, and all these things. But on a high level, then it's just a mirror of yourself and everything where you're not free, basically. So you could become free, so you could liberate yourself. So you could find everything where you still triggered, where it means you have these attachments, or some shadows you haven't realized yet. So something where you have to look within. That means that in a deeper sense, there is no relationship. There's just one consciousness of kind of the wave of consciousness is hitting into another wave of consciousness until they will reach a source, something like this. And that's what we can say. The union is a relationship. So I would say last month is my perception of everything in a way changing. As the more and more I'm just seeing that it's all just, let's say I get less romantic and more just seeing the reality as it is. And when we see it as it is, we see that it's a lot of, it's love, and sometimes it's nothingness. And that's also what we can experience in Transfiguration, that nothing exists and it's still perfect. And as I said, on the higher sense, the Transfiguration can help us to transmute their transfigurative in our physical form. And there are still, what Richard was saying, in China, there are some Chinese monasteries where you still can find the hair and nails of masters who transfigured themselves. So basically, when once reach the light body, the rainbow body, so it means that when the master, through practices, it transmute the physical form back into elements and into the light, the only thing that stayed that's not possible to be transmuted is hairs and nails. Everything else is get absorbed back into the existence, into the light. And in Tibet tradition, there are two ways of this practice. One is this is called, that normally is the highest and the hardest one. The more easier one, also still very hard, but easier, when the master just makes the physical body smaller. It's just like kind of compress it to very small size. That's also what kind of helps into the transition of the soul. But it all comes to being able to work with elements. That is alchemy, basically. This key is the alchemy key. It's alchemicus key. Because you need to be able to transmute the elements to find out the ambrosia, the immortal self. That's what the alchemy is. To find a gold. What is the gold? It's not like a metal that make you rich. You know, it's the ambrosia. It's like what can be dyed. It's like your immortal self, basically. And this is what the transfiguration is. It's either realizing it through a consciousness or even through a physical form, to be able to transfigurate your body. And honestly, it was kind of my dream from a long time. But so what Richard Rudd said, that it's not enough to have only this key. It needs to be in a certain position as well. It has other keys in your chart, but there is a potential. It's not necessary, but there is a potential for those who have this chart, that in their DNA, there is already this possibility for the physical form to be absorbed back into light. But it's kind of hard practices, let's say. They're not, or they're not just happens like this, because also nowadays it's a lot of karma and things that affecting. So, but the transfiguration is always here, is always possible. So I feel we kind of finishing here. We're going to go soon to meditation. Do you want to say something? What did you do?
It's because it's the up. Let's turn with the bass. Turn the bass to Transfiguration. Yes, Transfiguration of Christ. Yeah, I mean, I think each tradition has its own way of explaining this process of alchemy. You know, Katya was just connecting a lot with the Tibetan process of, I think it's, there's three kind of stages. There's the Sambhoga Kaya, Dharma Kaya. I forget which one is highest, but yeah, the one when you just allow, like when you, there's, yeah, the one you can get small. Then there's the one where you turn everything to light, pure light. And then there's one where you allow like the grace to kind of, you die basically like a samadhi. This is what the yogis do, right? That kind of thing. That can also do that, where you leave your physical body, your soul leaves the body, and then you go to like, you basically like separate from the body. Whichever way does it really matter at the end of the day? Because the soul is what matters, and the soul is what's transcended. That's like the finest. That's like what Richard Rudd's calling like the star light that you are. You are made of this light gold that's the soul, that's the crystallization of your soul and your life. If I speak from my own experience, I've had this process of transfiguration before with Christ, which I believe I technically completed successfully, but I was doing during a shamanic experience with DMT. I well, I well, that's the thing. Which part of me is still here? But maybe I came for you. um, yeah, I I was having, in fact, this experience without even knowing anything of what it was. And I had experience, firstly, exactly like what is mentioned, of the dissolving in through the elements. I remember leaving my, like, I just remember when I had my like experience samadhi, I remember all my consciousness started to like turn into different elements, and the elements started to like kind of, I remember the air element like coming in, then the like earth, then like the water, then fire, all of them together. I became, I don't know, crystallized. And then I remember yeah, this literal transfiguration where I I moved toward Christ, and I didn't know where I was going. First was like, where am I being led? And time I start to go towards like a like, well, it wasn't running into like the real I had when I was going through the portal. Like I would say, in a way, kind of being led out of the bardo was through the Christ consciousness that my soul already knew straight away how to do it in a way, which was crazy because I never in this life knew about all of this. But the the yeah, the Christ consciousness kind of like appeared in and as a golden, like what it said, this golden light. And that was, yeah, that was my last, that was the last kind of pro that was the last thing I needed to remember is like this. Yeah, I will get emotional if I go there. But yeah, the last memories of being God itself.
Now I need to find master in Nepal. First in the physical form, yeah.
Yeah, or whatever teacher or tradition is the one that your heart connects with, because yeah, if there's not love there, then you will keep wondering, you will keep searching until you find it. So I I believe I believe in God in the form of love, so that was why Christ in a way was there for me and helped me to wow, to realize who am I. And then after that it was, I cannot explain, this is too complicated, but at least today we are talking about that process before you reach the end. Um and yeah, the most beautiful thing is that, when this saying in English, we say there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's literally the truth. There is literally light at the end of the fucking tunnel. I can, even if people will persecute me and say I'm crazy, but I can swear on my life, on God, that there's light. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And you just, it's a process of transmutation. because right now we of course, we have certain elements that are playing out in a physical form, especially in a human form. And we cannot, in the human form, perceive the light in its pure form. Even in the Tibetan tradition, it's known that these 5 elements actually are this gross forms of 5 pure lights. So even then, like, it's beyond the 5 elements in a way. Even though the 5th element, akasha or space, is in fact the ground for consciousness, is the ground for everything. So yeah, Om Shanti. And just keep going. Go through all the portals you need to go through until you find the final one, you know. Yeah. Yes.
So it's time for meditation. Let's just find comfortable position. I'll have a sip of tea. Ooh. And you can close your eyes. You can find back stillness. Feel your body. And the energy in your body. And feel your hips first. And your legs, your feet. And then the root system is going down from your feet back to the core of Mother Earth. Deepening, connecting, grounding. Feeling the support and relaxation. And how energy comes back into your body from the Mother Earth. That gives you relaxation and strength. And grounding. Grounding helps you to ground. Goes into your hips. Into your belly. Into your chest. Into your throat and your head. And higher up from your crown, going back to source. And from the source, the energy is coming into your system, the energy of Father Sky, the Divine Masculine Principle. Going back into your system, through your spine, down to the core of the earth. There are two energies now that you connected with: the spiral of Mother Earth and spiral of Father Sky. There is a light in your heart and rainbow sphere around you. And then you feel your body the golden light around you, around your aura. Teachers and your soul and the jinkies and 47 jinki. And let's first feel the shadow of oppression. And feel where there is oppression in your system. And breathe into it. And find this fear in you, wherever it hides. Maybe it's a fear of death, maybe it's a fear of losing yourself, maybe it's a fear of unknown, whatever form it represents. Go into it. And breathe. Always be connected with your breath. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your mouth. And look into this sphere. And go into the sphere and through the sphere. Let it be a portal for you. Seeing that this portal opens up for you the process of transmutation. When you go beyond that, instead of contracting, you expanding through this. And it activates the transmutation process in your DNA. When your system starts to activate the light and certain hormones that activates the higher consciousness. And just stay with it and breathe in it, be with it. Seeing that kind of you just going into the cosmic space and reach certain border, a limit. and seems like it's the end. But in fact, you can go beyond this limit, or see how there's like electricity that comes, and the outer space and inner space are just transmuting and becoming one. And elements are going back into your system. There is a transfiguration happening. And there is truly no words to describe it, so just be present with it. As it exists even beyond your feelings, it's in a pure consciousness. Just breathe and be. When there is outside becomes inside, and inside becomes outside. And everything becomes one. And just stay 1 more minute here with your presence, your breath. Staying connected with your breath. Take 3 deep breaths. Grounded in your body, let the energy move through all your body. And from your feet down to the earth. Or maybe you need to stretch. You feel yourself and when you're ready, you can rub your palms. Put it into your face, towards your face, or other parts of your body. And slowly open your eyes, or still stay the process if you need more. Till you will be ready. Want to say anything? No? Okay, so then thank you to those who will be watching. If you watch the recording, please share your comments, your thoughts, your experience, and see you next week for, I don't remember which key would be, but see you next Wednesday, as now we're gonna do these practices on Wednesday.